Bring my brother. This is my little brother. If I bring my brother with me to the cookout, can he get in with me? No. You mean to tell me you wouldn't let this brother in the cookout, brother? Look at him. Come on, Cesaria.
See this, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, that's the southern kingdom. You from the northern kingdom, Ephraim, Manasseh, on down. Now, why you got a lighter pleasure that we got? Because the northern kingdom of Israel mixed themselves against the other nations. So that's why you got a lot of tone. But guess what? We the same people. Right. Me and you are brothers, according to the Bible.
But you're bringing the Mexican. The Mexican is your brother. He could be white as Snow White. And you're bringing the Mexican. But you won't bring in my little brother. He can't eat with us.
Because joining other nations is why we were destroyed as a people.
I want you to know that all of us don't think like that. So don't let my brother, I love my brother. This is my brother. And that's why we trying to fix him. He's sick mentally. And we're trying to work on him. All of us don't feel like that. You understand what I'm saying? We all don't believe in that. So this is just one of the brothers that we're trying to work on, man. You are our brother, man. But I want you to see Brother Katazar. Brother Katazar is all right to come to the camp and eat. In fact, he can stand by you. But look at Katazar and look at me. Do we look alike? Do me and you look alike?
Can I tell you the problem?
No. I'm just asking you a question. Do we look alike?
But you basing it on
family. Hold on. Look. Family. I'm asking the audience. Do me and Katazar look alike? Okay, now let me get this brother right over here. Now, family, I'm asking you another question. Do me and this brother look alike?
They also become the enemy of black women, teaching and encouraging simple Israelite men to make marriages with the Hispanic and Native American heathen. Show me one time when the Hispanics came to support the blacks as a nation. Hell, show me one time when the Native Americans came to support the blacks as a nation.
Something is not right with this picture. I'm not who they've said I am. I'm not. I remember growing up, if I may indulge me. I remember growing up a long time ago. we were called Latin, then Latin American, Latin American. Then we were called Spanish. Then we were called Spanish American. Then we were called Mexican. Then Mexican American. We're a hyphenated people. It's almost like Humpty Dumpty said on a hyphen, you know. And so then Hispanic, Hispano, Latino, Chicano, Mojado, Mestizo, you name it, you got it. Poquito de todo. And every one of those labels is a different worldview, has a different set of lenses.
Year after I saw Nasi Yaakov, Chief Counsel Daniel said, it's over, Israelite, you guys should have learned enough already. I'm done. I'm getting ready to go on the road and preach. You see, he was serious. He would travel across the country, wherever, and just put up a flag and start talking. He said that's how powerful he was. But before that happened, he took me up to Harlem, and we met with Abba Bivens.
Okay, so you had an encounter with Abba Bivens.
Oh, yeah. Abba Bivens and Nasi Barak.
Oh, Nasi Barak was up there at that time.
Nasi Barak, he was going back and forth between Israelite and Tanakh school.
Which would be the odd one out this right here? Come on, family, you do the picking. You know what I'm talking about. Got him! Got him! But I want you to see Brother Katazar. Brother
great experience. I went up there a couple times. And one time we were over there and they had the charts up. And they had the charts. A great experience. I went up there a couple times. And one time we were over there and they had the charts up. And they had the charts that said if you're Jamaican, you come from this tribe, and if you're from Barbados, it's that tribe, and read the book, said, hey, come on, Pop. What is, you know that ain't right. He said, of course, Danny, I know that's not right. And read the book, said, hey, come on, Pop. What is, you know that ain't right. He said, of course, Danny, I know that's not right. He said, but that's the hook. That's how we get them into place, and we wire them up to what's true. He said, but that's the hook. That's how we get them into place, and we wire them up to what's true. He said, but that's the hook. That's how we get them into place, and we wire them up to what's true. He said, but that's the hook. That's how we get them into place, and we wire them up to what's true. Well, years later, after he passed away, and his sons and all of them, they either died or moved away, the Tanakh school began to teach those things as truth. This is the truth. The Tanakh school began to teach those things as truth. This is the truth, and well. Great experience. I went up there a couple times.
Correctly and ask anybody. I was there back then with the heads and all that. And I sat down with them and asked. We out like we always do, out getting stuff for the school. I'm out with Mo, Aria. I think Lahab was there, a couple of others. And I asked Aria about it. And I said, Aria, how did the 12 tribes come about? They proceeded to go into the story. Okay, about Aria. First of all, Aria used to work construction as a young man. And like I brought out in that documentary the brothers was making, he fell down an elevator shaft, 3-story, broke both his legs, was in traction, got in a wheelchair for 3 years. Aria rode around, the doctor said he would never walk again. He rode around in a wheelchair for 3 years. And so naturally he couldn't go to camp, couldn't do a ton of things, couldn't even get up the stairs in the school. So he spent a ton of that time at home, and he started to study the records and the history. Aria was a young man, 18, 19, like young men do, work construction, do different jobs. Bivens was over the school. Aria was one of the ones coming up in the school. When he got the vision, of course he brought it to Bivens. Bivens knew the vision was right, and of course, being the head of the school, Bivens brought it out to everybody. Just like I'm the head of the school. Brothers bring me stuff all the time, and I bring it out. It don't mean I'm the one that created it, or I'm the one that came up with it. So Bivens did not come up with it. Aria is the one through the vision of the Lord. Now listen, you can say what you want. Aria got the vision.
All right, Zion, you heard it with your own ears and seen it with your own eyes. It's a very dangerous thing to give your heritage away to strangers.
And because of that, Indians in America allied with the white dominant society. And I keep hearing blacks bragging about the fact how much Indian blood they got. Indians were not your friends in history. They were not your friends. And I don't mean to put the Indians down. Indians got special problems. I'm not putting anybody else down. I'm not going to put the Hispanics down. I'm going to tell you the truth. And out of the 5 civilized tribes in the United States, all five of them sided with the South to keep slavery. In a 20-year period between 1840 and 1860, the biggest killers of blacks in America were Indians. And see, the Indians then, so that's what they were trying to get, that kind of an ally between whites and Indians, so that blacks could not ally with them. And that's why every civilized tribe was a slave trader. Indian tribe was a slave trader and a slave owner. As a matter of fact, in Camp Smith, right not too far from me in Texas, in 1867, in Camp Smith, the Choctaws and the Chickasaws still had slaves even 2 years after the war and wouldn't turn them loose. And the United States government gave them $300,000 to turn black slaves loose, to the Chickasaw and Choctaw Indians, and said, we'll give you $300,000 and take this money and divide it up and turn those black slaves loose and give them some land. And they never, but 2 years later in 1869, blacks were coming to Washington saying the Indians never gave them anything. And to this day, blacks never got a penny from the Indians. So what I'm saying is everybody has been against blacks because we've never been united. But so when I leave here after today, I want you all to be together, okay?
But Arabs were the first ones. Portuguese were the second ones. Hispanics were the third ones. Then the Germans and the Danes. Then the French. Then the English. The Norwegians on down the line. Then lastly was the American Indians. Everybody's enslaved black folk.
By 1750, black folk peaked out. The population of blacks in America got up to 34%. And then the white society got very scared with that. They said, with that kind of number in this country, there's a possibility that blacks might get together with Indians. So then in every treaty that whites were signing with Indian treaties, they put an incentive in there for the Indians to turn against black folk. They say every time you catch a black, you got to turn him in. And they would pay an Indian $20 on an average to chase down an escaped runaway slave, to track him in the woods and bring him back to his plantation.
And so pull out by pulling away from affirmative action, let it collapse. And the Indians, in the first treaties that were initiated in the New York Treaty in 1507, it put in there that Indians would be compensated if they sided with the European whites and helped maintain slavery. We will give you clothes, food, and some weapons, and you can become civilized. So-called civilized tribes, the civilized tribes were the Indians who said, we will help you maintain slavery in this country. So Indians became slave traders, slave hunters, slave owners, and they signed with the South in the 1860s to fight with the South to maintain slavery in the United States. And the reason the Indians lost all that territory was because they signed a treaty with the South. And in all those previous treaties, the treaty said if you take up arms against the United States, you would lose all your rights. And when the Indians signed that fight with the South, they lost most of their territory. And the United States said, I'll give you some amnesty if you come back and do this for us. One, you free all the slaves that you were still holding, all the black freemen. Free them. Like the Chickasaw and Choctaw Indians in 1866 were still holding 12,000, 15,000 blacks as slaves. But the American troops went into every Indian reservation and made them turn the slaves loose. And said, and when you turn these black slaves loose, these are treaties. You go to your computer and look up the Indian treaties of 1866. And it says this, first of all, you got to give each one $150. You give them 160 acres of land. They got to have access to any resources we send to you. And they have access to any resources on the reservation. They should be tax exempt. They should have free college education. They should be able to go right now in today's terms, you should be able to go to the government and get contracts, just like the Indians do, without competing for it. You should be able to right now to go to the government and say, I want some radio station license, some TV licenses, and casino license. You should have gambling casinos if you wanted to, if you get them enforced that treaty of 1866. That is a political issue, which means black folk got to get very active. You are entitled to billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars you never got because you're sleeping.
The tribe of Judah are the black Negroes that were shipped in the transatlantic slave trade to North, South, and Central America, Haiti, Cuba, Mexico, Jamaica, Portugal, Spain, West Indies, England, and other places around the world. Even though the indigenous people of some of these areas were black, they were conquered by Europeans, and because of the mixing of the seed between European males and black women, what we see today is essentially the creation of a third race.
When we were children, we were told that we have a motherland, and that motherland was Spain. However, we have discovered later in our lives that, as a matter of fact, we have several motherlands. And one of the greatest motherlands of all is no doubt Africa. We love Africa. And every day we are much more aware of the roots we have in Africa. Also, America is our motherland. Africa, America, and Bolivar used to say that we are a new human race in Latin America, that we are not Europeans, nor Africans, or North Americans, that we are a mixture of all those races, and there is no doubt that Africa resounds with a pulse like 1,000 drums.
Many of the descendants of the Negros shipped into slavery to these places are still there and are still black.
People of African descent go back hundreds of years in Mexico, but as a group, Afro-Mexicans are largely invisible. A 2015 census is changing that. CCTV's Frank Contreras has insight from Mexico's southern state of Oaxaca.
Last year, for the first time, the government conducted an interim census asking Mexicans, based on your culture, history, and traditions, do you consider yourself black, meaning Afro-Mexican or Afro-descendant? And nearly 1.4 million people responded, yes.
Estoy hablando de racismo incluido, que es el racismo más fuerte que hay en el Caribe. Yo creo que el racismo que se expresa en Cuba tiene que ver con esa cultura, con esas mediaciones entre el que está arriba, el blanco, el poder, la ley, el dinero, y el que está abajo, que es el subalterno, el criado, el esclavo, el que no tiene dinero, el dominado, el oprimido.
Our brothers and sisters that are in Colombia, they refer to as Afro-Colombia, but they are the Hebrew descendant of slaves. So check this out.
After over 50 years of civil war, the Colombian government and the FARC guerrillas are closer than ever to signing a final peace deal. But some people in the country support the peace process more than others. Mainly the country's black and indigenous populations, those who have been the most affected by the decades of fighting. The town of Puerto Tejada, like most other towns that surround the city of Cali, have long been in the middle of this fighting.
Mire, por decirle algo, en el tema de los actores armados en Puerto Tejada, los paracos ingresaron aquí en enero del 2002. Y de enero del 2002 a junio del 2006 asesinaron en Puerto Tejada un promedio de 1.112 jóvenes. Eso es un genocidio.
A final peace deal could reduce the violence in the region, but it could also force the government to invest in rural development projects and alleviate poverty in the countryside.
So these Negroes, and they hate the 12 tribes. And now they made a big thing because we updated the very bottom that says Isaiah 11:11 with Deuteronomy 28:64. It says we're scattered in all nations, which is true. That's what it is.
No. When they say one West camps, they mean all of us that come from under that banner. Like myself, our camp, like Israel United in Christ, ISUPK, House of David, even GOCC, right? That's all I can think of. You know, all them camps that come under, even GMS, but all of us was all the leaders, every single one of us, we was originally part of One West in Harlem, One West 125th Street. But when a split happened and the leadership broke up, we had to decide which leaders to go with.
And he took me up to Harlem, and we met with Abba Bivens.
Okay, so you had an encounter with Abba Bivens.
Oh, yeah. Abba Bivens and Nasi Barak.
Oh, Nasi Barak was up there at that time.
Nasi Barak, he was going back and forth between Israelites and Tanakh school. You know, because in Harlem you had plenty Spanish people and black people all around 125th Street and 124th Street, because by First Avenue was where Tanakh school was, but they would come over toward the west in Mount Morris Park. They changed the name of the park. Anyway, that was a great experience. I went up there a couple times. And one time we were over there and they had the charts up. And they had the charts that said if you're Jamaican, you come from this tribe, and if you're from Barbados, it's that tribe, and boom, 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 boom. And read the book, said, hey, come on, said, hey, come on, Pop. What is, you know that ain't right. He said, of course, Danny, I know that's not right. He said, but that's the hook. That's how we get them into place, and we wire them up to what's true. Later, after he passed away, and his sons and all of them, they either died or moved away, the Tanakh school began to teach those things as truth. This is the truth, you know, and, well, anyway.
I gotta tell you, the seventh seal actually talks about, when the seven seals is open, it talks about Abba Bivens, and it talks about... Okay, give me the 5th verse, and let's read that again. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. Okay, this is a true saying. It has come, and it has been executed, and it has come to pass. That is the guy that came, the man of God that came, that actually set up what is now being called the Israelite Church of God in Jesus Christ. Does everybody understand that? He was known as Abba Bivens. And he was the one that was out there telling black people and Hispanic people that they were the children of Israel. Hispanic people that they were the children of Israel. Does everybody understand that?
And you know what? The 12 tribe sign. You know, when the Spirit came on Ariel, that's right, I said it. The Spirit came on Ariel to bring all that information out. He brought it out before the books came out.
We told them that. That's been said to them over and over again. A lot of these Negroes know that. They know.
The same guy, Elijah the prophet, that poured the oil on High Priest Ariel's head upon this for him in the truth when he was 12 years old. Everybody understand? And that was all that he was supposed to do. Do everybody understand that? Read the 5th verse and the 6th verse again. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet. And this is also the same man that Bob Mitzvah, High Priest Ariel, into the truth when he was 12 years old. Do everybody understand what I'm saying?
And you know what? The 12 tribe sign. You know, when the Spirit came on Ariel, that's right, I said it. The Spirit came on Ariel to bring all that information out. He brought it out before the books came out.
Just going to state some facts and show something that most people in these camps don't want to bring out, dealing with the tribe of Ephraim. So page 131 of Babylon Timbuktu, it says this: there are black Jews in southern Nigeria who are called the Imo Yoquaim, or strange people, by the native Africans, but these black Jews call themselves the Hebrew name B'nai Ephraim, or sons of Ephraim. These Jews claim that their ancestors immigrated from Morocco, a country in Africa, a fact which Godby says is supported by their language, a mixture of Maghrebi, Arabic, and local Negro speech. Thus Abu in parentheses father has become Yaba, and mother Hebrew is Ima. Nevertheless, most of their language is similar to the black Yorubas around them. The Yorubas have influenced these Jews to a great extent in their external social life. It is said that the crocodile is sacred animal for all the customary sacrifices of the Yorubas to appear to be the same for Jews. Now just think about, they claim to be from the tribe of Ephraim in Nigeria. What color are the Nigerians? Black, right? Now let's see a statue of the head of an ancient Yoruba Jew from the tribe of Ephraim. Look like a black person, don't it? Don't look like Fat Joe or Jennifer Lopez Puerto Rican looking people, do they? And with that being said, shalom and blessings to all of y'all.
Let me ask you this, because there's two trains of thought that I've heard people say. Some people have made the claim that some Israelites still are on the West Coast. Some Israelites say they're all gone out of there. So what do you think the validity? You think that there's still some there?
And there in Nigeria, there are the Igbos, the Igbos in here, the Igbos, and you know, evidently you know French then, right?
Yeah. I understand what that was.
In fact, the word Ebo, I don't know if you heard this, but Ebo, that's the way you say Hebrew. The way you say it in French.
Oh, okay.
You say Ebo. It means Hebrew.
Okay.
You see? Gotcha. So a lot of Israelites in southern Nigeria and in the country next door used to be called Dahomey.
Right, I've read about Dahomey. Right.
Yeah, but now called Benin. In fact, that word Benin is a corruption or contraction from the Hebrew word Benaim Ephraim, which means the children of Ephraim.
Now that's in your book.
Yes.
I came across it. I was like, wow.
Yeah, you remember that.
That's right.
That's good. Yeah.
And these camp leaders who know, they know this. The ones who are pushing this European chart, they know the truth. But they've gone too far, brothers and sisters. And that's why they won't come out and admit it. Their pride. You know, pride is one of the worst things. It's one of the worst sins that the Most High hates. You cannot humble yourself with pride. Pride is going to destroy a lot of our people. But see, the Most High is not going to allow the sincere brothers and sisters, because I'm telling you, He is waking up a lot of our sincere brothers and sisters out of these camps that are pushing this madness. And they're waking up and they're losing a lot of members. I'm telling you, I'm seeing it time after time.
Ephraim, Manasseh, Levi, and Simeon. Well, let's start with this. Benjamin. He's so-called the tribes of the West Indies. But Manasseh, who are the Cubans, Ephraim, who are the Puerto Ricans, Levi, who are the Haitians, and who else? Simeon, who are the so-called Cubans. They are all in the West Indies. If you look on the map, you check that out. The Lord say He's not the author of confusion. So question of the day for all 12 tribe subscribers. Hey, and all you camp heads, you top dogs, you elders and apostles, won't you break this down, man? Quit hiding. How do you decipher those tribes, those 5 tribes, if they all in the same region that you claim belong to only one tribe or be dominated by one tribe? Question of the day, man. Shalom.
He saw that thing, put it down, wrote it out. Then years later came the books to verify what he had seen. So he said, this is of the Lord.
Now, Bivens came, which is Elijah the prophet, to tell Israelites that they were Israelites. Everybody understand that? But what he did not do, and what it was not given to him to do, is to tell each and every Israelite exactly where they fit at in the nation of Israel. Meaning to tell them which tribe they actually belong to. Do everybody understand that? That was given to Chief High Priest and Apostle, High Priest Ariel. In order for 12,000 to be sealed, listen for a minute and then clap. In order for
And you know what? The 12 tribe sign. You know, when the Spirit came on Ariel, that's right, I said it. The Spirit came on Ariel to bring all that information out. He brought it out before the books came out.
And they had the charts up And they had the charts that said if you're Jamaican, you come from this tribe, and if you're from Barbados, it's that tribe, and boom, 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 boom. And read the book, said, hey, come on, Pop. I said, what is, you know that ain't right. He said, of course, Danny, I know that's not right. He said, but that's the hook. That's how we get them into place, and we wire them up to what's true.
Is the so-called Puerto Ricans. The tribe of Manasseh is the so-called Cubans. And the tribe of Gad is the so-called North American Indians. The tribe of Reuben are the so-called Seminole Indians that are residing in the areas of Florida. The tribe of Naphtali is the so-called Argentinians all the way through to Chile in South America. The tribe of Asher are the so-called Colombians and Brazilians in South America, all the way to Uruguay. Then the tribe of Issachar is inclusive of the Mexican Indians in the land of Mexico. These people are the true nation of Israel.
Yes. These are the people that constitute the nation of Israel. That is their identity, true identity. And a white man calls himself white, doesn't understand his own true identity. The Greeks, the Romans, the English.
So before we start getting into scriptures, let me just tell you where all this One West madness came from. So they believe the camps that are pushing this madness all the way back to Leroy Bivens. They believe that the 10 tribes literally crossed over the big body of water, the ocean, and came all the way through a channel and came all the way to America. So they get the word Arzareth from Christopher Columbus, as they claim. There's a book called Christopher Columbus. They said that, and this was the big push, and this was the lie that was constantly going on, that Columbus mentioned Arzareth as America. But I'm going to prove to you that's a lie because I have that book, and I'm going to show you that later. But Christopher Columbus did not even mention Arzareth, or Arzareth was not even mentioned in the book, not once. All the book said was Christopher Columbus was just fond of reading Ezra. That's it. That's it. So there were a lot of lies that were made up to bring in these foreign women. And these camp leaders who are pushing this mess, they know that, brothers and sisters. I'm telling you, don't let them fool you. They know that they've been lying. Now they've gone so far into it, they've misled so many people that they can't reverse it. But see, the Most High is going to punish them for that. Because now they've caused a lot of our brothers and sisters into an abomination by taking these foreign women and these foreign men as the wife and the husband and causing all kind of chaos. This is what they did.
The real reason behind the 12 tribes chart is quite obvious. If you really do your research and you check those that's actually pushing this chart, you'll see that they have Hispanics and Caucasians as wives. This is the true reason why they're even pushing this chart, because they're trying to justify themselves being with a foreign woman when the scripture strictly forbids it.
Columbus was to help him interpret the language of the so-called Native Americans was just more conjecture and lies to help establish a link between the natives and the Israelites. Remember, Columbus thought he was selling to India, not America, and this is why he called them Indians.
It was just Indians, and they weren't even Indians. We called them that by accident, and we still call them that. Like we knew in a month that it wasn't Indians, but we just don't give a. We never correct it. We came here, they're like, hi, and we're like, hey, you're Indians, right? And they're like, no. No, this is India, right? No, it's not, it's totally other place. You're not Indians? No. Nah, you're Indians.
Now, we have our brothers and sisters, the Negroes, scattered to the four corners of the earth all over the world. And we're going to talk about that because we have Negroes in Mexico, and they ain't European. We got Negroes in the Dominican Republic. We got Negroes all throughout Africa. We got Negroes in the Caribbean islands. We have Negroes in the Middle East. We have Negroes in China. Yes, China. We have Negroes all over the world. And you know, the camps like to say, well, not everybody's going to look like Wesley Snipes. Well, of course not. You got different shades of blacks. But we're scattered all over the world. We're in every continent.
Este se yuca con coco, leche, canela, clavito, vainilla, moscada, honey.
When Andrea speaks, she sometimes slips into the local dialect, and that's the other major thing about Palenque culture, the language. Can you tell me how to say in Palenque, how to say, hi, my name is?
Ella se llama
Natalie.
Natalie. Yo me llamo Natalie. Y así mismo ella se llama yo Jairo Cáceres.
So, okay, so this is the difference. Okay, so in Spanish, mi nombre es Natalie, but in Palenque, ella se llama Natalie. There we go.
Su lengua es de origen africano, especialmente la familia lingüística Bantu, Kikongo y Kimbundu.
And it's spoken only here in the town of Palenque. So it's pretty cool if you think about it. These palenqueras, their bright costumes, their wares, their language that peppers the streets in Cartagena. It's not just a gimmick. It's a purposeful attempt to keep the culture alive.
Hi, why are you here and where are you from?
I'm from, I live in the United States. I live in Maryland. I'm here because I brought with me African Americans who trace their DNA to Nigeria, in particular to the Igbo ethnic group. And I am the president of Roots to Glory Tours, and what we do is we help Africans in America get back to their country of origin to learn more of the traditions and the history of their people.
Well, my ancestry is from Africa, and this is like coming home for me, reconnecting with my ancestors that were stolen from here many years ago, and this is like coming back and just reclaiming my ancestry and embracing my home.
In fact, that word Benin is a corruption or contraction from the Hebrew word Benaim Ephraim, which means the children of Ephraim.
Now that's in your book.
Yes.
I came across it. I was like, wow.
So now we are on our way from Ohafia to Arochukwu. So Ugo is traveling all around, going everywhere that is letters. And Ugo, how are you feeling? Going around?
I'm feeling good.
How is the adventure so far?
Awesome. Yeah. I think I'm a village man now.
Yeah, he's a village man. If you see him,
I'm not a village man, you're a village chief.
Village
chief. Yeah, village.
So Arochukwu, here we come.
This is also an ancient city, the warriors.
Yeah.
They go to the Ephraimite.
Okay.
The Ephraimite.
Let me show you around.
Ephraim Queen. Yes, Ephraim Queen. Yeah.
Ephraim Queen.
Yeah. Ephraim Queen. So let me be.
He said this particular place, they say that they're from the tribe of Ephraim.
Yeah, Ephraimites.
The Ephraim.
But a lot of Nigerians that travel abroad got this talk from their family, where they will sit you down and tell you, you are going there. Don't go and talk to those black Americans. You just go and get pregnant. You get into drugs. You start become gang banging. They give you that talk. That just go to the white community, find a nice place. They just go and be decent. Stay with the white people. They give you that talk. So when you enter America, you already have a perception of African Americans. You judge them. And of course, they can see that judgment in your behavior towards them. And they see how you are almost like yes master to the Oyimbos. They see, they're not blind. So when they have that feeling of when they become defensive, when you're in their presence, it's because they see that perception you have of them. So I know I got that talk. And a lot of Nigerians got that talk. So we are over there, we are doing well, we are doctors, we are building houses, we are feeling like, yeah, so we come to the land of the living, we are there, land of the plenty, and we are doing well. Forgetting that some people sacrificed for you to even go there in the first place. So is that acknowledgement that the African American community are expecting of us, especially those of us living abroad in America?
Okay. Can I say something? Can I just
wanted to answer you because let's not forget that you cannot give what you don't have. In our society, we are racists. When racism, when we see white people, we worship them. When you have an organization and they come in to either look for a job or they are working there, you see the way your people behave towards them. They don't give their people the same respect that they give to the white person. So people that already have that mindset that the white is better will go and be fighting for somebody else. It's not possible. Charity begins at home. May I quickly land that the only way this can stop, where we believe that everybody is equal, is if we take down that image that is a white man that is God.
If you look at the chart, there are no African flags on the chart, even though the bulk of the Hebrews are in Africa. I'll repeat that. The bulk of the Hebrews are in Africa. One can only prove Hebrew identity through ancestry. And no Hebrew here in America can prove their Hebrew identity without a shadow of a doubt, without falling back on their African ancestry. Let's look at one. It's important to note that modern Hebrew tends to add a letter to some ancient Ewe words. Ewe means Hebrew. Example, the modern Hebrew name Gad is a corruption of Gan, and Dan is a corruption of Da. That is why the people call themselves Gans and not Gads. Let's look at the tribe of Da, what is commonly known as Dan. Majority of the people who make up the tribe of Da occupy the landmark currently known as the Republic of Benin. They are spread across what used to be Ewe land, Ewe Nyiba, but majority live in the Republic of Benin. For centuries, the country was known as Dahomey, before it was renamed to Benin. What does Dahomey mean? Let's turn to the oral tradition of the people to answer this question. Dahomey is a compound name, Da and Home. Da is the name of their ancestor, and Home means home. Put together, you get the home of Da, what we call Dan now. Specifically, the home of the tribe of Dan. Remember, the N is an addition. According to the oral tradition of the people of Dahomey, their ancestors moved to a strange land looking for a place to settle. They came upon a man who occupied a very large piece of land. They killed him and took his land and named their newfound land after their ancestor Da or Dan. So they named the place Dahomey, the home of Dan. Judges chapters 18 tells an amazing similar story of how the tribe of Da found their home. But I want to focus on verses 29. And they called the name of the city Da, after the name of Dan, their father, who was born to Israel. But actually, Laish was the name of the city at first. So the name Dan or Da started as the name of the children of Da in Israel, and they carried the name along when they migrated to West Africa.
For example, beginning with the feasts, the festivals, Igbo land has a feast, a festival called the Festival of Onwange. Onwange is the festival of the first month. And when you go to the Bible, in the Old Testament, Onwange in Exodus chapter 12, you see where God commanded the children of Israel to celebrate the Passover, and it will be for them the first of all the months in the year. That is what Onwange is. And then you go forward to Emume Nzudani, the Feast of Weeks. You count 50 days from the Passover, and you get the Feast of Weeks. Same in Aguleri here and in much of Igbo land. And then you go forward and you get to Emume Alomo. Emume Alomo is nothing but spiritually preparing for the harvest feast, which is the New Yam Festival that comes later after the Emume Alomo. So if you follow the indigenous festivals of Igbo land, you find out that much of it is in the Torah or in the Old Testament. So having said that, you think of things like circumcision, that every male child is supposed to be made in Igbo land, the burial rites, the marriage ceremony. There's a whole lot. So when you really look at it, you know that spiritually speaking, Igbos are part of the covenant people of God. And that's why what we call the title of God in Igbo land is Chukwu Abiame Okike. Chukwu Abiame Okike means the God of Abraham, the creator.
What was the tribe of Dan known for in the Torah? The tribe of Dan brought idolatry to Israel when Micah brought idols after they established their home. When the French colonized Dahomey, they mocked their idols and they scornfully referred to them as Jewy, which means play items in French. Because the locals could not speak their language, Jewy morphed into Juju. The word Juju, which has become the universal word for idolatry and any kind of demonic worship, originated from the home of the tribe of Dan. And the Bible supports the evidence. That is what they were known for in the Torah. The people of Dahomey are also famous for the snake, playing a big role in their rituals and shrines. What was the blessing given to Dan or Da when Jacob was about to die and he pronounced blessings on his children? Dan will be a serpent by the roadside, a viper along the path that bites the horse's heels so that its rider tumbles backward. What does Da mean in the Evid tongue? It means snake. So now we can check off the 3 criteria. 1, the in-depth knowledge of the people's oral history. 2, knowing the people's culture or tradition and comparing it to information in the Torah. 3, names of landmarks that agree with similar names in the Torah. And we've done that with the Hebrews in Dahomey.
So you mean to tell me that people that look like Jennifer Lopez are Israelites, but the people of South Africa are not? This chart is causing Yah's people to commit a great sin. Those that were shipped to West Indies were Judah. Those that have been told this deception by some Hebrew Israelite. Many of them had and still have heathenistic practices. This is why you see Indians looking like the witch doctors of Africa. Notice how these images of South Americans looking just like Hamites with huge jaw plates in their mouth and huge plates in their ears. Let's just face the truth. They're not Hebrew Israelites.
Some Hamitic Africans sold Negroes or Hebrews for personal gains. This is half truth. It is not only Hamitic Africans, but also Negroes, Hebrews, also sold fellow Negroes or Hebrews into slavery as well. Therefore, the correct statement about the transatlantic slave trade should then be Hamitic Africans and some Hebrews sold Hebrews to non-Africans for personal gains. Or Africans and some Hebrews sold Hebrews to non-Africans for personal gains. Or we can word it further. Africans and some Negroes sold Negroes to non-Africans for personal gain. My point is, Hebrews also sold fellow Hebrews as slaves for personal gain. This is fact. The strip of land in West Africa that was once called the Slave Coast stretched from the Volta River in Ghana through Togo, modern-day Benin, which was called Dahomey, and Nigeria. These 4 countries that now occupy this stretch of land was one territory before the Europeans divided the African continent to define their trade zones in 1844. The result is the current Africa as most people know it today. However, Evenyigba, Hebrew land, was the name of this strip of land that now houses these four countries.
Efik people, they are a Hebrew Israelite tribe. According to Wikipedia, it says Efik in the Bible is a city in the tribe of Asher, from which the Canaanites were not driven out. You find Efik in Judges chapter 1 verse 31, Joshua chapter 13 verse 44. The Efik people are, you will find them in Cross River State, the south region of Nigeria, in the city called Calabar, majorly in the city called Calabar. Calabar is an ancient city. That was one of the first cities in Nigeria to receive the Portuguese slave traders who came to Africa. And
18th century, millions of Jews were expelled from Europe for rejecting Christianity. They were taken to the coast of Guinea, which is now called West Africa. In those days, there was no country such as Ghana, Nigeria, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire. It was just a vast land of jungle. They survived and became different tribes. That's why most West Africans claim they are Hebrews. I myself, in our tribe, we still practice circumcision on the 8th day. Now, in the year 1492, about 2,000 children were taken from their parents and sent to the island of Sao Tome. And the children are still there till today, and they are still black, and here they are.
Because hell no, Hispanics, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians, they are not part of the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay? All 12 tribes are black, or what they would call, or what they would look like today would be the so-called Negroes. All 12 tribes look like the so-called Negroes. Okay? And see, you know, just like you got, just like you got different tribes of Indians, like the Comanche, Eskimo, Apache, and Cherokee, and they all look the same, right? They all look the same. They all look like the same people. It's the exact same way with all of Israel. Okay? Right? So let's go over this, this falsehood of nonsense of lies, this 12 tribes chart that they got out here, right? Let's go over it, okay? It says Judah is supposed to be the American blacks. Benjamin is the West Indian blacks. Levi is the Haitians. Ephraim is the Puerto Ricans. Manasseh is the Cubans. Simeon is the Dominicans. Zebulon is the Guatemalans. Gad, looks like it's going to be, Salakia. Gad is going to be the Native American Indians. Reuben is going to be the Seminole Indians. Asher is going to be the Colombians. Issachar is going to be the Mexicans, right? And the Naphtali is going to be the Argentinians. All right. So, let's go real quick and, just the first cut on this dummy doctrine.
There are many who claim that the Israelites traveled from Jerusalem to America before the land was ever populated, and that they were the true indigenous people of America. This belief has three basic claims. 1. In the Apocrypha in 2nd Esdras, it says that the Israelites traveled to a place called Arsareth. 2. It's also claimed that Columbus identified America as Arsareth. 3. Lastly, they claim that the Native Americans had Hebrew customs. First, we will deal with the Columbus claim. The Jewish Encyclopedia states that Columbus identified America as this land called Arsareth. It also names the source of this information as being a book called Christopher Columbus by K. Serlings. If you research for yourself, the claim is actually false. On page 15 of this book, it doesn't claim that America is Arsareth at all, but only states that he, meaning Christopher Columbus, was fond of reading the Bible and the fourth book of Ezra. That was all. Even if the statement turned out to be true, Christopher Columbus is no authority or reliable source on the matter, especially when he thought he was landing in India. Therefore, any claims that Christopher Columbus would make should certainly not be considered factual statements, as it relates to the geographical location of any territory.
The Jewish Encyclopedia lists the source of this information, and it gives you the name of the book and the page where it supposedly mentions that Nazareth is America. This is a complete lie. Many people won't do their own research and check out the source of this information because it's listed in the encyclopedia. We take it for granted that every word of an encyclopedia is true, and that's not so.
The promoters of this unfounded theory teach that man had already dwelt throughout Africa, so it couldn't have been referring to areas in Africa. Let's listen to what British historian Basil Davidson had to say when exploring regions of Africa.
Now the task was to stake out frontiers in utterly uncharted land. Said the French Prime Minister, "We have embarked on a gigantic steeplechase into the unknown." The British Prime Minister Lord Salisbury was to say of this period, "We've been engaged in drawing lines on maps where no man's foot has ever trod, where no man's foot has ever trod, where no man's foot has ever trod."
Where no man's foot has ever trod? You mean to tell me that there were certain places in Africa that no man has ever dwelt in those days? What about in 727 BC? Of course there wasn't anyone dwelling in certain areas of Africa in 727 BC when Shalmaneser, the king of Assyria, reigned. This was only about 1700 years after the time of the flood. If there was no one dwelling in certain areas of Africa in the late 1800s, then we know for sure that there was no one dwelling in certain areas of Africa 3,700 years ago.
Based on what the Bible says, the Israelites were fleeing captivity, but were still in or near the African continent or the Middle East. The only significant body of water they encountered was the Euphrates River, as mentioned in the Bible. It is from there that they traveled a year and a half, and based on the travel information already presented, it is impossible that Arsareth was anywhere near America.
He is the 34th king in Obugad. But apart from that they have maintained this kingship and dynasty, other Israelites are equally in Igbo land. We have Zebulun, we have Ephraim, we have Menashe, we have Reuben, we have Danites. They are all here.
N'ibi boss wa apụta bụ si na Keri, Gad, bụ ụmụ Israel. Ma ọ bụ Israel si n'ọnwa o, ma ọ bụ anyị ma ọ bụ anyị si Israel na anyị na ụmụ Israel bụ nwanne. Igbo adọrọ n'elu n'Yoruba ma ebe a si apụta. Hausa ma ebe a si apụta, na anyị na-abụ n'ọnwa. Igbo adọrọ n'elu. Ị na-aga ị na-eme ngala n'ọnwa Chineke ka ịbụ.
You walk with pride. Because you are a child of Adonai.
Chineke gozie n'aba ya o.
Now Adonai bless us.
Shalom.
Especially. Igbos are Israelites. The question of Igbo being Israelites are not in doubt. There are evidences that Igbos are Israelites. The journey of Igbo started when the Assyrians actually attacked and exiled the 10 tribes of Israel, the Northern Kingdom, in 722 BCE. From that period, all the 10 tribes were scattered. The bulk, according to Mazutra, were taken to Africa. Were taken to Africa. Were taken to Africa.
See this, Judah, Benjamin, Levi, that's a southern kingdom.
You from the northern kingdom, Ephraim, Manasseh on down. Now, why you got a lighter pleasure that we got? Because the northern kingdom of Israel mixed themselves against the other nations. So that's why you got a lot of tone. But guess what? We the same people. Me and you are brothers according to the Bible.
So a lot of Israelites in southern Nigeria and in the country next door used to be called Dahomey.
Right, I've read about Dahomey. Right.
Yeah, but now called Benin.
Benin.
In fact, that word Benin is a corruption or contraction from the Hebrew word Benaim Ephraim, which means the children of Ephraim.
Now that's in your book.
Yes.
I came across it. I was like, wow.
Read.
The book of Hosea, chapter 7 and verse 8. Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned.
So what is a cake not turned? Have you ever seen a pancake? If you don't flip the pancake, what color is it be up on the bottom? Bright, right? So on the top, would it be a little light, right? Now that's why, because Ephraim had milk. If it say it, read.
Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned.
So the scriptures say, the Bible say y'all a cake not turned. Y'all a cake not turned. But y'all going through the same oppression that we going through. Y'all getting killed and everything like we going through. Just like the Bible say that was gonna happen. Now give me Jeremiah 50 and 33. Watch this. It say Judah and Ephraim, they gonna be in bondage together. They gonna be enslaved together because we the same people. And we got to come back to God's laws and statutes and commandments and start living again. That's what we got to come back to. We got to see each other like brethren. That's why the scripture say, gather yourself together, O nation not desired. So we got to gather together and keep God's commandments.
Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned.
So the scriptures say, the Bible say y'all a cake not turned. Y'all a cake not turned. But y'all going through the same oppression that we going through.
Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned.
So the scriptures say, the Bible say y'all a cake not turned. Y'all a cake not turned. But y'all going through the same oppression that we going through.
Do you guys classify yourselves as Israelites? No. Not at all, do y'all? Y'all don't classify yourselves as Israelites? No. But like Spaniards or Aztecs or Indians?
Some do.
Some do.
Some do.
Yeah.
Some can say they do. Like I said, it depends where you're from.
All right, so because that's what we're trying to tell a lot of people on Facebook, like Mexicans are not Israelites.
They're not.
They're not. Can you please tell my viewers that Mexicans are not Israelites?
They're not.
They're not Israelites? Not at all. Not part of the 12 tribes at all, huh?
No.
All right.
You talk about the tension a little bit in the black community, between Africans and African Americans.
Well, like in middle school, my black friends would tease me and be like, "Oh, you're an African booty scratcher" and stuff.
They would tease you to say what?
That you're an African booty scratcher. Yeah. Because I'm African and they're American.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not even worse. I've been told that, do you ride elephants to school? Like stupid things like that.
I feel like a lot of people just hear Africa and they just generalize. It's like, I've heard people ask me, do I speak African? And I'm like, in Nigeria, there's 150 languages. You gotta narrow it down like that. And so I don't like always ticking the boxes where it's always saying I'm Black American, because I feel like there's a lot of culture lost by saying I'm just what people think I am.
Yeah. Maurice, where are you from?
I'm from Philly.
From Philly? Yeah. What makes you poor?
Well, I come from one of the worst neighborhoods in Philadelphia.
Women. Maurice, he's a nice looking guy, right? If you brought Maurice home to your family, would you even try to date one of them? Like, what do you know?
What do you mean, what do I know?
Yeah, what do you know about Africans?
Author Joseph J. Williams documents the Hebraic practices, customs, and beliefs which he found among the people of Jamaica and the Ashanti of West Africa. He initially examines the close relationship between the Jamaican and the Ashanti cultures and the folk beliefs. He then studies the language and culture of the Ashanti, of whom many Jamaicans have descended, by comparing them to well-known and established Hebraic traditions. The West African tribal nations that our forefathers were taken from have many ancient Hebrew customs in their culture. The Kafir, Bo, Grebo, Maribuk, Mavumba, Accra, Fanti, Aken, Yoruba, Congo, and Ashanti, just to name a few of the many sub-Saharan nations that engage in ancient Israelite rituals.
And we're going to be dealing with Zebulun, verse 13. Zebulun shall dwell at the haven of the sea, and he shall be for an haven of ships, and his border shall be unto Zidon, or which is pronounced Sidon with an S. It's the same thing. If you look in the New Testament, you'll see it pronounced Sidon. Now, I want you to take a look at the map here, because I'm going to show you current day Sidon, where it is today. Now, it's in Phoenicia. It's in the region of the Middle East. This is where Sidon is. You can see Israel at the bottom. You see Tyre. You see Syria to the right. So this area of Sidon is located in the regions of the Middle East. And so this is the only place in Genesis 49 where it actually gives a location. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to this stupid European chart that these camps are pushing and specifically look where they have Zebulun. Guatemala to Panama. Now, saints, y'all know it don't take a rocket scientist to figure out where this location is. South America. Now, does this look like the Middle East to you all? Now, how are you going to get this one wrong? The scriptures gave you the location, and they still got it wrong. So they got Zebulun as the Guatemalans to Panama, calling these people Israelites. And you know, we're not even halfway done with this yet. And you see the stupidity and the irony behind this wicked chart? See, this is the kind of madness I'm talking about, brothers and sisters. It's just straight up wickedness and madness, insanity. And we know that Zebulun is part of the northern tribe. Now, that is proof right there to let you know where Zebulun is. It's in the regions of the Middle East, along with the rest of the northern tribes, spread out throughout Africa, the Middle East, and the islands of the sea.
Hapa ni nyumbani kwake ambako amehudumu kwa miaka 25. Miaka 20 akiwa mbunge, miaka 5 na miezi 5 akihudumu kama rais wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania. Msafara wake unaingia katika eneo hili, jeshi la wananchi JWTZ ukiwa unaupokea namna hiyo na kuongoza msafara huu.
See this, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, that's the southern kingdom. You from the northern kingdom, Ephraim, Manasseh, on down. Now, why you got a lighter pleasure that we got? Because the northern kingdom of Israel mixed themselves against the other nations. So that's why you got a lot of tone. But guess what? We the same people. Me and you are brothers according to the Bible.
Bring my brother. This is my little brother. If I bring my brother with me to the cookout, can he get in with me? No. You mean to tell me you wouldn't let this brother in the cookout, brother? Look at it. Come on, Cesaria.
Read.
The book of Hosea, chapter 7 and verse 8. Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned.
This is what we're talking about. But you're bringing the Mexican. The Mexican is your brother. He could be white as Snow White. And you're bringing the Mexican. But you won't bring in my little brother. He can't eat with us.
So where does a cake not turn? Have you ever seen a pancake? If you don't flip the pancake, what color does it be up on the bottom? Bright, right? So on the top, would it be little light, right? Now that's why, because Ephraim had milk. If it say it, read.
Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned.
Because joining other nations is why we were destroyed as a people.
I want you to know that all of us don't think like that. So don't let my brother Tazar. I love my brother. This is my brother, and that's why we trying to fix him. He's sick mentally.
So the scriptures say, the Bible say, y'all are cake not turned. Y'all are cake not turned. But y'all going through the same oppression that we going through. Y'all getting killed and everything like we going through. Just like the Bible say that was going to happen. Jeremiah 50 and 33. Watch this. It say Judah and Ephraim, they going to be in bondage together. They going to be enslaved together because we the same people.
And we're trying to work on it. All of us don't feel like that. You understand what I'm saying? We all don't believe in that. So this is just one of the brothers that we're trying to work on, man. You are a brother, man. But I want you to see Brother Katazar.
And we got to come back to God's laws and statutes and commandments and start living again. This is what we got to come back to. We got to see each other like brethren. That's why the scripture say, gather yourself together, O nation not desired. So we got to gather together and keep God's commandments.
Brother Katazar is all right to come to the camp and eat. In fact, he can stand by you. But look at Katazar and look at me. Do we look alike? Do me and you look alike?
No disrespect to you, right? No disrespect to you, but what tribe do you claim? I don't know, because I honestly don't know. Before you go, claim so true. Okay. You know, and they're not from the island, but my best guess is spirit, because I never met my grandfather.
Can I tell you the problem?
No. I'm just asking you a question. Do we look alike?
But you basing it on
family. Hold on. Look. Family. I'm asking the audience. Do me and Katazar look alike? Okay, now let me get this brother right over here. Now, family. I'm asking you another question. Do me and this brother look alike?
You know a lot, but do a little, trying to please man. You know a lot, but do a little, trying to please man. Then Peter and the other apostles answered and said, we ought to obey God rather than men. You know a lot, but you do little, trying to please man, now you stuck in the middle. You know a lot, but you do little, was a die hard, now you soft in the middle. You know a lot, but you do little, trying to please man, now you stuck in the middle. You know a lot, but you do little, was a die hard, now you soft in the middle. Middle, was a die hard, now you soft in the middle. Middle, trying to please man, now you stuck in the middle.
Thank you for watching Thoughtscameraaction. Before you go anywhere, don't forget to click subscribe.